Talk me through a normal show then. So what is the layout of a show?
So usually in a typical show we'd have 3 riders, which is usually myself, Danny, plus one other. So if you're in the UK, it's probably going to be like Ali Clarkson. If we're out in Europe, it'd be a French rider who's called John Langlois. I don't know if you know him. He's a, like insane trials rider. We almost need to stop hiring him because he makes us look bad.
Street trials, specifically.
Yeah. Well, he came from a BMX background and he's honestly level what he can do. So he's, again, it's like such a confusing like jumble of backgrounds and stuff. So we've come from like sort of trials background, and he's come from a BMX background, but he's learned all the trials stuff. So he's a completely different beast where he can incorporate like at ease, just like bar spins, tail whips, which is really cool to see. Again, it's just like another slant. But yeah, Drop and No Show would be 3 riders. We've got an MC called Henry Jackson, who's pretty much the most important part of the show because he just gets everyone like riled up. And it lasts like 35 minutes. And again, we just try and come up with like the ultimate sort of package to get not just kids, but like as wide a sort of demographic as possible.
Yeah.
Like stoked on the show, stoked on bikes, and just like it is entertainment at the end of the day. And we just try and kind of just slowly build things up.
Not just saying
it's like bigger stuff.
I saw a show at Fort Bill, and I think you do a cracking job. And
did you see the show last weekend?
At World Champs?
I did.
Yeah.
Which one did you see?
I was in the. I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah.
It was on. I'm pretty sure it was on race day.
Okay.
I saw the show on race day. I mean, basically, what I was going to say is it was raining, it was miserable, and you've got rows and rows of people completely captivated, absolutely loving it. It's not like it's not actually an easy thing to do, and I think you do a cracking job.
Cheers.
No, not at all. No, I think you do. I think.
Nah, honestly, Fort William was so good though.
Yeah.
Like, not to take anything away from other crowds, but we just did a show at the Formula One, which was amazing. But they were like such a tough crowd compared to what you get at Fort William.
Yeah.
And in some ways, you're almost more nervous at Fort William because it's like a mountain bike crowd, and you don't want to look like, and it's home as well. It's like a double whammy for us. I mean, it was weird because we wouldn't like to admit, but me and Danny were actually like pretty nervous, or not nervous, but like not like.
Well, yeah.
Just like some level of like not anxiousness,
Anticipation.
Yeah.
Like it's.
And especially the rain and all that, but like as soon as it starts, because you're like, in some ways you're like, oh, this is gonna be like such a tough crowd because they know what mountain biking is about. You almost think maybe they know that that's easy or whatever.
Yeah.
But honestly, as soon as it starts, you're like, oh, it was so good. And we did a show on Sunday in the rain. It was like after all the racing, and we were like walking around like, oh, like, what are we doing a show like in the afternoon? Everyone's gonna be like leaving. It's pissing down with rain. Like no one's gonna be here.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of like get ourselves going. And honestly, it was like so good. Like everyone was still there. It was pissing down with rain. Everyone was still stoked. We were like, there was like mud or like that clay in the car park. But it was like honestly one of the best shows we ever did.
Really?
And like folk were just I think I helped it. Like half the folk were probably blazing, but just like sitting there with their beers. But it was so good.
That's wicked. I love the speed, the race bit.
Yeah, that's a new thing that we just did this year, and
is it?
It's honestly so fun.
I really like that because you can't help but actually be competitive. I'd imagine, especially with like a friendship like you boys have got. It's like you actually do want to win, don't you? So
yeah, we're trying to get the balance of like trying to ham it up a little bit and just like make it slightly wacky races and like knock each other off it without actually hurting each other. So it's good. It's good fun.
That's funny. Speed trials is not a thing in push bikes, is it?
It isn't, but like it makes me think after doing them in the shows for the last few months, and like how well it's been received and how fun it is. It's just cool to add like for us selfishly, it's nice to add like a variable element into the show. Yeah. Because at least then you don't know what's going to happen. Everything else is like not fully rehearsed, but it's pretty predictable. Whereas the speed trials is like so random, and like. Again, I don't want to, we were talking about earlier, I don't want to be influenced too much by like numbers, but you put like those clips online and they always do really well because everyone can just relate to like two people racing across like the same track and like knocking each other off.
It's like over the years I've been into mountain biking, it's like there's always this talk about like what thing can be the thing that translates to this mass audience that people talk about.
Yeah.
This mass audience is like a thing that we've got to capture. Like I certainly think you do a great job of it because you're on a phone box, for instance.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how big a phone box is. We can all relate to it, blah, blah, blah. Like if you actually think about like 4-cross even versus downhill.
Yeah.
Like downhill, that was a big turnout. I don't know how many people it was, but it was a proper crowd, wasn't it? And yet it's so hard really to watch when you're there. It's so hard to...
Yeah, I think with downhill, it's difficult because it's almost always really exciting.
Yeah.
But the stars have to line a little bit for it to really be...
Yeah.
Really, like, to get a proper class race where it's like... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to downhill because I love watching it. But I think as a... Like you say, if it was going to be at general audience, you kind of need something that maybe delivers a little bit more consistent, like that sort of. And I guess they're always trying to do that with like the way that the riders come down, and like because you ideally want like that last rider to be either like winning or at least like pushing for a win. So it's like a little bit at the mercy of like
totally
just circumstance.
The simplicity of just going against the clock is like really nice. I think it's nicer for a broadcast than it is in person. In person, it's very difficult. I mean, you only have to be at the top of the motorway and you don't know what any of the times are. So you're just watching someone come past. Yeah. Then you have to have like the live timing on your phone or the live feed. Yeah, like it's quite hard as a one in place, isn't it? Like,
yeah, for sure. Like it's cool to go to one like a year, but like one race per year or something. But I think it's just like that broadcast has got so good. Yeah. I guess most sports are kind of the same as that. It's like it's hard to compete with that like spoon-fed highlight. Yeah. As they're happening, kind of thing.
It always shocks me. Like 4-cross at Fort William, I guess you've been going over the years. 4-cross was really exciting. I think, and it's mad to me that didn't work. And I always sort of think about like this, whatever this format is that captures people either at an event or.
Is 4-cross? What is the deal with 4-cross now? There is still a 4-cross World Tour, is it not? Or is it?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, and then there's still 4-cross races, and it's just become way more of a core thing. Whereas it used to be. Like, I don't think there was 4-cross world champs.
No, it's not UCI anymore, is it?
No.
Which is pretty, like I say, it's pretty mad when you think of it like that.
I mean, that's just head-to-head mountain bike racing. Yeah. If you simplify it the most, it kind of is, isn't it? It's like I can see how trials has its place, I can see how downhill has its place, I can see how cross-country has its place. But I can also see that there is a head-to-head element that is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess just making the course, try to like make the course right to really sort of just maximize the chances of having those races that are just a bit like sort of cat and mouse and
super hard, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's so hard.
Turns into a gate.
Because like at the end of the day, usually the strongest rider is going to get out first, and then more often than not, they'll probably get away. Like the BMX race, for example, we went to see it on Sunday. It was super cool, and like they go so fast. But again, it's like, I don't know what the stats are, but more often than not, the person who gets out front wins. If you could try and figure out a way of just like...
How can you make it not the first 3 pedal strokes?
More variables to basically have more changes. But I suppose every sport has that issue because like, look at Formula 1, it falls into that trap as well.
Yeah, and I feel like that in their infancy, they're sort of this like golden era of like just pure hype and everyone loves it. But actually when people get good at stuff, it almost makes it more boring, doesn't it? Like I was just thinking that about your... speed trials race thing, it would just turn into first 3 pedal strokes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. If you made the course variable enough that there was a good chance that somebody would make a mistake. But yeah, it's just all about trying to think about how to make the course conducive to that.
It's a hard job.
Nightmare to ride.
It's a hard job. I wouldn't know what to do at all when it comes to that stuff. And it's sort of like you have this like responsibility for everyone's favourite thing. It's shit, isn't it? Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. Right, I'm referring back to my notes now because I'm basically trying to not go to the Ask Dunk Anything questions just yet because I'm worried that there's all going to be ridiculous.
Did you enjoy this clip? If so, please like and subscribe. The full episode is available by hitting one of the links on the screen right now, or type The Ride Companion into your favourite podcast app. We've even put links in the show description for you. Cheers!